Good morning and welcome to yet another interesting episode of the Camnet Breakfast Show, Wednesday edition, where we focus on governance and politics. And today on the program, we have lined up a number of exciting segments and interviews which you, our dear viewers, can contribute to later on the program as we open the phone lines. And just now, we're going to take our first segment we call Morning Boost so that we can get exercising. Stay tuned.
Good morning, Camnet viewers, and welcome to our quick morning show, quick morning workout, and you will be able to benefit from everything we're doing. So remember, the key thing is just for us to help you be fit, exercise, burn some fats in the body, stay fit, and so that your executive functions are on the peak. Okay, as usual, start with a warm-up. Let's go. Just a warm up. A warm up. Warm up. And marching. Hip, 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 hip. Invite everybody in the house. Let's do it together. Everyone is invited. We're going to throw some punches today. Let's go. Last one. All right. You're all welcome once again. Just in case you're getting out of your blankets, join us quick. Let's exercise together. All right, I promise that we're going to do some punches today. Okay, let's start. Two each now. One each. Two each. One each. Two each. One each. Low punch now. Go! Stay low. Watch my legs. Stay there. And up. Punch up. We're going to mix them now. High punch and low punches. Ready? Let's go. Low punch. Up. Low punch. And matching. Okay, you did well with your punches. We're gonna do a knee high and a kick now. One. One. Two. One. Two. Last one. 1, 2. Kick now. Let's go. 1, 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Back to knee. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Again. Knee high. Last knee. 1, 2. Kick now. If you feel your leg is heavy, let's do this. 1 and 2. Let's go, mama. 1, 2, 1, 2. High. Higher now. High. High. High now. Let's go. There you go. Kick. Can you hear me? Camnet team. Woo. Let's go. Let the blood flow. No more blood clot on your legs. Let's go. 1 and 2. And matching now. All right. Trust me. You did well with your punches and the knee highs and the kicks. Thank you so much. This is Isaac Matsa, your presenter. I'm gonna see you next week again as we do our quick morning show. Make sure that you don't miss this breakfast show. Thank you, and I sign out.
Welcome back. There you have it. That's a morning boost with Isaac Matsa there, giving us what he does the best, helping us to flex our muscles early in the morning. You can equally do that. You don't have to wait for the segment to come in order for you to contribute or to exercise. You just have to be proactive to ensure that you keep health, because as you already know, exercising is important, and as it helps us to stay away from non-communicable diseases, NCDs, which are not good for our health. We have a number of non-NCDs such as diabetes as well as heart disease, and you can only combat that if you are exercising. And to avoid that, make sure early in the morning you can take a jog as well as exercise with us in the studios in the morning. You can equally just do something that keeps you fit to ensure that you stay away from some of these diseases that can be avoided. Well, at the moment I'm not alone. I'm joined by Alex Chishimba, and together we are going to deliberate through the program. Alex, welcome.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to host the program with you, Mr. Soko. How are you doing today?
I've been great, and yourself?
I'm great.
Okay.
Awesome.
How has been the week so far?
Well, the week has been quite eventful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like one of the stories that we actually review has to do with the acting president for the Patriotic Front,
mm-hmm.
Given Lubinda, who was allegedly in some sort of process of crime. The youth empowerment facility we have in Kabwata constituency. So the councillors who is Simata in Kamwala allegedly said this man has been, personalizing these properties.
Mm-hmm.
And so to respond to that, the man actually cited them for defamation of character yesterday. So this is one of the stories that we actually followed up, and you'll be able to update the public with that as we review some of the stories. And also among the issues that you are actually elaborating on in terms of health, mm-hmm. the non-communicable diseases. So we'll be having the doctor on to actually update the public on the health segment that we will be having next, who's actually Dr. Nancy Mbasela, to just give us a bit of information that we need as a community on how best we can upkeep ourselves as regards to health. Yeah.
So we get into that segment with the doctor so that we can understand what they have prepared for us, and as far as helping us keep health is concerned, and being aware, especially on various issues pertaining to health.
Indeed. We can just check that out as we follow through the health segment.
Good morning, viewers. Welcome back to Health Talk. We are still commemorating congenital heart diseases this week. I am Dr. Nancy Mbasela, a member of the Medical Women Association of Zambia and a baby doctor at the National Heart Hospital. So today we are going to talk about cyanotic heart diseases. But before we do that, I would like us to recap on what we have discussed this week so far. So we spoke about congenital heart diseases in general on Monday. We said that congenital heart diseases are abnormalities of the heart that a baby is born with. That usually we do not know the cause of this heart defect. We also spoke about the symptoms, things like a baby getting tired when breastfeeding, getting tired when playing with friends, fast breathing, and sometimes swelling because the heart gets tired and stops working very well. So what are cyanotic heart diseases? So cyanotic heart diseases, these are a class of congenital heart diseases where babies appear darker than others. By appear darker, I mean the tongue, the lips, the fingers, the nails, and the toes look a bit purple compared to other children. So there are different types of cyanotic heart diseases. The most common type that we diagnose in Zambia is called tetralogy of Fallot, or we'll call it TOF from now on so that everyone can remember it. So TOF, like my colleague mentioned yesterday about congenital heart diseases, how she took you through structures of the heart or how the heart looks. So when a child has TOF, usually they not only have a hole in their heart, but also some of the vessels, or we'll call them the pipes, that pump blood out of the heart are also not formed properly. So what happens in babies with TOF is that they are unable to get enough blood to the lungs so that that blood can get oxygenated or nourished enough for it to be good enough to go into the body. That is what causes them to look darker, because the blood they are receiving is that blood that is already used up and it is not nourished enough for the body to use it again. So when we talk about TOF, many of the babies present very early. These are the babies in the first few weeks or months of life who usually present with them being purple. Like all congenital heart diseases, they'll present with getting tired when breastfeeding. And for the school-going children, usually they squat when they run for a few meters because they are very tired, they get tired very easily. So why do they squat? So usually they squat because, like I said, there is not enough blood that comes from the heart and goes to the lungs for it to be nourished. So what they do is when they squat, that helps the blood go to the lungs and hopefully gets oxygenated. So how are these TOFs treated? So usually TOFs are treated by surgery. That is the definitive treatment. Without surgery, many of these babies do not live very full lives. So as a parent, what can you do when your child has TOF? So like I said, the children with TOF will usually present with a purple tongue, purple fingers, purple toes. This is a sign that they are not getting enough oxygen to their blood. This can be worsened by stress, the child being upset about something, or a child being agitated or scared. As a parent, what can you do when your child becomes more blue or more purple than usual? What you can do is calm them down. Usually calming them down will help with the discoloration. If they are older babies, you can put them in what we call a knee chest position. So a knee chest position is where you bring their knees up to their chest. This will help blood go to the heart and go to the lungs. What if they are older? So if you cannot carry them and they are older, what you can do is ask them to squat. But usually the older children already do this because it's a reflex. They've done it so many times, so they know that when they squat, they feel better. When you've calmed them down, you need to rush them to the hospital because this is an emergency that need medical attention. So as we've been discussing about cyanotic heart diseases and congenital heart diseases in general, we cannot overemphasize screening. So if you are a neighbor, a teacher, a parent, an aunt, or a guardian to a child that you suspect has congenital heart diseases, make sure you take them to the nearest clinic or to the National Heart Hospital for them to get screened. And of course, we cannot overemphasize dental hygiene. We spoke about how when a child has cavities or dental caries, the germs in the mouth can go to that defect in the heart and worsen the heart condition. So make sure your child brushes their teeth twice a day. Make sure you take them for regular dental checkups at least twice a year so that they have a healthy mouth. That helps with the quality of life because the heart is not at risk. Thank you very much for watching again. We'll see you tomorrow for another topic on congenital heart diseases.
Well, interesting subject.
Yeah, quite insightful. Yeah.
This is Dr. Nancy Mbasela, well, explaining an important aspect there, especially amongst children, the aspect of low oxygen supply in blood and how it can be treated. Well, in case you just missed that segment, you can follow our Facebook page as well as to get updated regarding what has been discussed on that important subject. Just now we're going to go to a sports update, and sure. As you already know, Mr. Chishimba, there were some games that were being played in the UEFA Champions League, and today some matches will be played. So we are going to look at the fixtures. It was Chelsea versus Losc, and you saw Chelsea being a better side, beating them by 2-0. They have the upper hand of progressing to the next level of the tournament. And we also had Juventus, who played against Villarreal. This was also, they played to a 1-0 draw. Villarreal is equally a good side in the Spanish league. And Juventus also this season hasn't been playing very well in the league because they've been champions for a long time, but unfortunately in Serie A there's a twist this time around. But though they are trying to catch up, they are playing catch up. But
what could be the problem? Is it player management? And
it could be a lot of things.
They need to resource players, I feel, and change some
exactly. That's usually has to be the solution. Sometimes, you know, when things go to the waste, usually the manager is fired. Exactly.
It's unfortunate that everything falls on leadership. Apparently.
Exactly. you cannot afford to miss that. And today we also have some interesting games to watch. Atletico Madrid will be playing against Manchester United, and Benfica will be up against Ajax. So Atletico Madrid, this is it's a must watch because Manchester United is usually a must watch side, which is not performing as expected.
What's surprising is that's where we have CR7, taking the lead of the forward side, but still no scores. I think it's quite disappointing to himself as an individual and also to the team. It is
a very disappointing team if you ask me, because and have people even here we have people like Amos Lungo and Elijah Chifita. They are busy supporting this team, and I'm trying to convince them to say, just join Madrid.
There is no
wasting time with.
I had this job that it's like convincing someone who follows these men of God to change the church. It's quite difficult for Man U supporter to change the team.
They are cadres, cadres of the team.
Yeah, staunch supporters.
Interesting. Just now we're going to go into another segment we call Money Market, so that we can understand how our kwacha is performing just now. Well,
So there we have it. The United States dollars is buying at 17 kwacha 0.44 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 0.77 ngwe. And the euro is buying at 18 kwacha 0.89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 0.26 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 23 kwacha 0.64 ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha 0.08 ngwe. The South African Rand is buying at 1 kwacha 0.15 ngwe and also selling at 1 kwacha 0.17 ngwe. We've seen some stabilizing in terms of the kwacha dollar exchange there.
Yeah,
even
exactly.
yesterday's that was seemingly quite the same.
Yes.
Yeah, unless last week that's when we saw a bit of appreciation to 16. Now we're back to 17.
To 17, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just hope it will continue to fluctuate within the same range, because if it progresses to 19, then...
And the
we'll
issue
be
really,
back
Mr.
to
Soko, is about stability.
Yes.
We can have a stable rate. If it can go all the way to maybe a month, that would mean a lot to our economy, because we are dealing with a stable exchange rate. The issue becomes when today it's on another rate and then the other day it becomes lesser or more. That way planning really is affected in the business fraternity. But all the same, we just encourage everyone to just go out there and expect those figures to affect the business world, but plan your day and go out there and do your businesses as usual.
Yeah, interesting.
It's important.
Just now we're going to zoom in one of the stories that is coming from Given Lubinda, where he has threatened actually to sue some youths in the opposition United Party, this being among them Mainda Simata, for defamation, and is demanding 1 million kwacha for the damages. That's quite a...
Defamation of character is quite a serious thing in Zambia.
Exactly, it is.
Because it costs a lot of money, really.
So we're going to zoom in that story. Then on the other side, we'll get talking, and you can also contribute to the story, add your views regarding that.
Indeed.
The trend of political figures being cited for corruption soon after they leave office is not new to the Zambian democratic dispensation. Many political figures, especially those from the former ruling party, have been summoned and questioned for corruption allegations, ranging from owning property suspected to be proceeds of crime and generally taking duly advantage of their office to do wrong things. For close to 4 months, former Kawata lawmaker Given Lubinda has been put under pressure by the United Party for National Development Youths, accusing him of personalizing Kawata Skills Center, which is meant for the benefit of the community. Monday, 22nd February 2022, saw the UPND Alliance Youths, led by Mainda Simata, report Lubinda to the Anti-Corruption Commission.
That is not what that property was for. It is for the community. So we want SEC to expedite this issue before we engage other gears that are going to have to force us to mobilize our people so that we can just now forcibly take over that property, because we are not going to wait for investigations which will take too long, because we need to use that facility now, and we have to take over that facility now on behalf of the community, because it belongs to the community. We are going to give, we agreed on 2 weeks with the dealing officer who's looking at this case. So after 2 weeks, we expect to have a positive, concrete feedback. And the feedback that we want is for that place to be returned back to the community in the soonest possible time.
And in response to this, Mr. Lubinda has sued the UPND youths for defamation of character, demanding 1 million kwacha. In a letter, Mr. Lubinda has cited a TV appearance on one of the TV stations where he was accused of the same offense.
People are free to accuse anyone they wish, but to provide evidence is another matter. So now we're going to wait for the accusers to adduce the evidence. And it's good that they've gone to the Anti-Corruption Commission. However, they went to the Anti-Corruption Commission after they received a demand from my lawyers on this issue, because they've been going about it for months on end. And finally, when my lawyers wrote to them, they decided to go to the Anti-Corruption Commission. So at least now they'll be given 2 opportunities to prove that indeed what they're saying is true. They will have to prove it to the Anti-Corruption Commission and also have to prove it in court.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, we are here on Policy and Governance Desk this morning. coming to your screens, and also you can follow us on Facebook, Camnet TV, and like the page, and also follow us through question us and also make contribution on that platform. On this very platform, you can also call using the numbers that are scrolling on your screens, so that you can be able to interact on this desk. Mr. Soko, what do you make of that story? Quite serious allegations.
Yeah, they are quite serious allegations there, Alex. We saw this story. This is not the first time it is coming out. Mind Doesn't Matter and the group. Even prior to that, we had Leslie Chikose, who was the RPP president, also igniting this debate. There was concern that that Youth Skills Center was personalized by the former Kawata lawmaker, Mr. Given Lubinda, according to the allegations that have been put forth by those young people from the United Party for National Development. Mind Doesn't Matter is a councillor in the same area, and he's been talking about this issue and the issue of ownership, especially in as far as that facility is concerned. He has brought out a number of issues, stories pertaining to that, making demands regarding the need for the people, for people to enjoy the benefits of that as a community, as opposed to the
that was the purpose of coming up with such a facility.
Exactly. So now I think Mr. Lubinda also came out to suggest that that facility, they need to justify their claims rather, but he also went further and took legal action to say they are defaming him, because you can not, Mr. Chishimba, you can only sue someone for defamation if they are actually denting your image by making false allegations. So according to Mr. Lubinda, he was simply implying and telling us to say those young people are accusing him or implicating him in something that he's not aware of, and that's where we saw.
And they need to show evidence.
Exactly. So how they are going now? The interesting part is that this matter has also been reported to the SEC. If the SEC will move in, we'll see these cases probably being heard side by side, because on the other hand, we'll be having a defamation case. On the other hand, we'll be having the law enforcement agencies trying to investigate whether Mr. Lubinda did abuse his powers by personalizing the facility that should belong to the community. For now, those things remain a mystery until the courts adjudicate on these matters, so that we can get to understand everything from both Mr. Lubinda and those who are making those allegations.
Indeed. We hope that viewers out there can actually make contribution on that particular story. We can also review one other story that we had in last night bulletin, which has to do with 4 workers of Best Choice Trading of a Lebanese company dealing with the production of snacks in Lusaka, having they were alleged being illegally fired. So these 4 workers said they are being fired on no premises really. So they reported to media, and one of our crew went on the ground and wanted to investigate what really happened. So we saw Zipporah Mshala actually having the interaction with the management, a representative from that company, and it was quite an interesting conversation, if you ask me. But before we just spoil the whole story, let's just take a look at this particular story so that you can come and discuss it.
Labor disputes in Zambia are common, especially among people who work in industries. Recent months have seen various protests as workers have been demanding better pay for their work, which they say is difficult, while employers, on the other hand, have been insisting that they're paying minimum wage. Workers at such places have been calling on the Ministry of Labor and Social Security to look into their plight, alleging that various labor provisions are abrogated at their workplaces. A recent case is that of 4 workers at Best Choice and Manufacturing Limited in Lusaka, who say the company based in Lusaka's industrial area and specializes in manufacturing snacks has dismissed them without providing them reason.
Why is that without any reason? So, if I don't wish, so twice a day, but it was on Saturday, last Saturday. So twice a day, but I can't to parent dismissal letter, Wakwebati, Tishi Yomulan to Pangire Ifo. No Bogisa Sangati. Yo, tabari kupera reason Valera ndakatendeni findala mashenu salary ya this month na 2 days each month for leave days. So if I twashire kana chawe kan shi for send shinda Facebook pere dismissal letter to ala send shinda. And for sure if twachisa lero foot batula ngese pamanje but pere manje dismissal letter na kwa konso ko tingaya to complain. Baya to pay la termination contract.
Zanishanisha matimikira nchito lizo zibaka. So much the what job kwa manini that na mafamilies sunga na mafamilies pa manyumba patu. So za survive bwanja tati muntu. Olo ino then season bantu bakumike nchito zaindo sakira kuti nchito ina. So manja pezeka nzebere. Vochita tapezeka manga tilipe vochita tati zashita sana manje. Lelo mbako kuboma. Tunolekeshe ko palife watu chitapa company pamiso hapa kwa best choice ilingo watu imike nchito tapali na reason yo watu imikire nchito tulebe bachi nishi watu imikire nchito chawe management itaile mifwaya.
However, company general manager Mr. Harrison Piri was aggressive and declined to comment.
Because also I have written to labor. You find me in the process of going to labor office now. That's why when you're outside, I was asking this guy, what do they want? He was, I'm going to labor. Is the salary dismissed? Labor should be notified. There's a lot of, and I can't expose it in there, but with labor, I'll provide all the information.
But with the media, but you know the implications it will have on the company. That because we're going to air and then...
You air the half-baked story.
No, as media, if you don't provide, or say refuse to comment, and you know how that sounds, eh? We're going to air and we say they refuse to comment. We give them the opportunity, they refuse to comment. That's what, yes, we do write that. So I want to mention the name of the company, the complaints they have made, and the list of the company to get clarifications. They refuse to comment, and we're cleared. That's what I want to do.
I'll send my lawyer.
Yes, there's no problem.
I'll send my lawyer.
You should
And I'll come and close Camnet TV. I'll come and close it. You're laughing. You're laughing. This is premeditated. Yeah? You don't do things like this.
After being informed that the story would be aired despite the company declining to comment, he has alleged that the four were employed on the basis of nepotism by one of the supervisors, stating that the same man has also since been dismissed on the same allegations, as well as on allegations of bribery. Meanwhile, the four have called on the Ministry of Labour to investigate the matter, stating that it is untrue and has left them destitute. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Well, interesting story there. Labor matters. Well, labor matters have been an issue in the country for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is because there are a number of issues that govern the labor sector, but to the level to which they are followed in terms of implementation is something that the country has been grappling with.
Yeah.
And we continue to see people don't know how to represent themselves. Sometimes if you represent yourself, you end up being fired. And that's an interesting story. The studios will be joined by the Camnet TV news editor, Sharon Kalimbula, who's going to help us unpack some of these stories just to get an analysis. First of all, Madam, good morning.
Good morning, thanks, Patrick. It feels very awkward for you to actually introduce me on my own show. On my own show, Patrick.
I must mention I'm enjoying this time. Like, I hope you can go all the way because we've never shared the platform.
Please host me.
Yes. And as our guest, that's an interesting story there on labor issues. And aren't you afraid that you are going to be closed up by Mr. Piri?
He's quite a busy man.
He's quite a busy man. Patrick, I'm sure you followed the story from the editing part yesterday until today. You keep watching and reviewing. These are stories that we've covered on a number of occasions. Outside, a very recent example is a story that Blessings covered for these other foreign nationals, the Chinese, involving the chicken issue.
Yes.
That story that went viral. I think we have an issue with foreign nationals, not to be xenophobic, because somebody out there may think we're just tagging these people. This is a company that belongs to the Lebanese, and then we have a black man representing the Lebanese, the owners of the company. Equally with that story, and the other story for steel, which Prudence had covered along Mumbai Road, it was basically the same thing, where we have Zambian nationals protecting these foreign nationals. The recent one as well, which you can cite, is the story for, is it the mining activities in Northwestern Province, where these UPND members were very, very upset. Not really that we are supporting what they did, but just citing the examples of Zambian nationals supporting or protecting the foreign nationals at the expense of these foreign nationals allegedly rather not following the labor laws. But the Ministry of Labor is on course. Usually when they watch, when we run the stories, they come to the rescue of these people and find out exactly what is happening, and we surely hope that this time around it will be the same thing. About us being scared of being closed by Mr. Piri, who was warning us, I think we are within our rights. We are within our time frame and within our work frame rather. So yeah, I can
go. In
do what we can do and what we can do.
That also brings me back to an important issue on media freedoms.
Yes.
That's the other. Media harassment does not only amount to politicians. It also amounts to what Mr. Piri was alluding to. Because how does it threaten a reporter and the whole institution just because they want to clarify a story which we are giving them a right to reply to? Because
that is how a story is supposed to be. When you get a story from this angle, you need to ensure that the people on the other end, especially those that are being accused, also get to give their side of the story. And exactly that's what Zipporah was trying to do here. The other day she covered those that were protesting, demanding probably to get their jobs back, and Mr. Piri had refused. But yesterday he initially called them to say, I want to give a comment. And after doing that, he starts threatening us to say, I will close Camnet TV, like a whole lot of a station. Wow. And Mr. Piri going ahead with those threats. But however, these are things that we go through as media institutions, and we need to be ready as and when such situations happen. But I'm glad that Zipporah was being investigated on that part, and she managed to pick the audio or the voice of that man.
What's interesting, it's interesting and also, she seemed to laugh, though we can't get the picture, but when they're conversating, she's also laughing.
And she annoys Mr. Piri.
Mr. Piri gets annoyed.
You're laughing. You're even laughing.
I'm serious. I'm gonna close your company.
I'll close your company.
It's interesting, you know. Yeah. But I understand we're speaking on an ignorant perspective because ours is to inform the people.
Indeed.
Those things that people want to do while hiding, us we bring them to light because our loyalty is to the people, to the public. We don't owe Mr. Piri an explanation for doing wrong things. If it is the workers that have done the wrong things, us I right. It doesn't matter who is wrong, who is right. At the end of the day, the verdict to be passed by the Ministry of Labor, they will be able to do that assessment to say, were they in order to dismiss these workers to provide a summary dismissal later. They also, even on their part as a company, if they did the right thing, they will be guided. So you did the right thing. If the workers were wrong, the Ministry of Labor will tell the workers to say, you were wrong, and the company was in order to provide a summary dismissal. So for us, all we do is to provide coverage to the story and highlight issues, and these are challenges that affect the workers. The incident that was affecting those workers is affecting many Zambians there who are working for these companies, especially because if you understand Zambia very well, most of the companies are not usually owned by indigenous Zambians. But you'd find that these few Zambians who have the privilege to serve in management at these same entities, they are in the forefront, shielding those because probably they are at a privileged position to benefit from the company, but that affects the majority of the workers. We have seen that. We have documented a number of stories where.
Patrick, one thing, Patrick, though, is that Mr. Perry's reason why those people were laid off is that they were hired on nepotism basis. But these are things that usually happen in institutions, and when you want to clear up the institution, you look at the qualification. If at all they do qualify, I think how they came really is not an issue. So for me, that is somehow a lame excuse. It's just one of the reasons that he wants to bring it. Does he even understand what nepotism is in the first place? I think that is one thing we need to ask ourselves. Are those people related? We will need to probe further.
Yes.
See if those people indeed were brought by their relatives to that institution, or if at all the whole bunch is over the same family, because that is what Mr. Perry is trying to imply here.
Yeah, you know, the issue is that in incidents where we have seen people being affected in such a circumstance, usually, but even their benefits do not accrue. They are not given them anything. So they suffer at the end of the day, and that amounts to the aspect of modern casualization, where
modern day slavery.
Yeah. So all that kind of arrangement. Those are things as journalists we continue to highlight. What are we expecting in the news as we let you go?
A number of stories that we've been chasing, a number of stories that we've been tracking, Patrick. Among them is the issue of the Luwinda story. I know we have been tracking the story for quite some days, and yesterday new development was brought in. I'm sure you zoomed into the story earlier before I sat on this chair. So Mr. Luwinda sued the two youths from the UPND. One of them is a councillor who's been very, very outspoken, Patrick, and the other one is just a UPND member who was aspiring to be a ward councillor in Chawama. And they have been to media houses accusing Mr. Luwinda, who is the former Kabwata Member of Parliament and now acting president for the Patriotic Front. So this man actually was also appearing on Camnet TV National Matters show. We did an interview with him where he said, those people are just accusing me and defaming my name. And so he has gone further to sue them for 1 million kwacha, and he hopes to take the matter to court, to the witness stand, and exculpate himself, actually, whether he did take duly advantage of the Kabwata Skills Center and take it into his personal capacity as opposed to benefiting the whole community. So these are some of the stories that we are tracking. And of course, the issue of the repealing the penal code is still a hot issue. We're talking about the issues of bigamy, we're talking about the issues of defamation of the president. Patriotic Front Media and Publicity Chairperson Raphael Nakachinda is a very good example of one who is facing the defamation charges. Patrick and Alex here, I'm sure you are aware. And he was also of the view that this law should be abolished because it infringes on people's rights. We also spoke to one of the CSOs that is of the view that indeed the laws regarding this should be abolished because they infringe on human rights and freedom of expression for persons. But one twist of this story is that the same people in the Patriotic Front are for and against. I think this is an interesting narrative that we will continue to follow, because these are people that are supposed to share a common idea, but then when you realize that the same people at senior level, this one is opposing, this one is for it, it just creates a whole lot of a confusion. So these are some of the stories that we'll be tracking this week throughout until they reach their logical conclusion, because ours is to ensure that people get to the end of the story and understand everything.
Thank you. We thank you for finding time to be with us in the studio this morning. We'll let you go, and just now we're going to take a short break. We'll be back on the other side with our first interview. Stay tuned.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
They were not there when God created you. The Bible says, I knew you before I placed you in your mother's womb.
Apples and bananas. Working, waiting, this what you've been praying for. Oh, we testify, we celebrate.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay
We
tuned.
testify, we celebrate. For all you've done, Lord, we give you all the praise. Oh, we testify, we celebrate. Oh, Lord, we give you all the
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. You are still watching the Camnet Breakfast Wednesday edition, Governance and Policy, with me, Patrick Soko, and Alex Chishimba. And in the studios this time around, we've been joined by our guest to help us unpack an important issue on the importance of mindset transformation and youth empowerment, and is Mr. Eugene Machona. Welcome to the program, sir.
Oh, thank you very much, Patrick.
And we are glad that you could find time to be with us in the studios this morning.
Well, it's a pleasure being here, and we thank God that we made it.
Interesting. Just now, we want to unpack some certain issues on the concept of mindset change. We understand this is something that you've been advocating for as an organization. And first of all, we're going to play a clip from the Minister of Sport, so that we get to understand their perspective, especially on empowerment. Then we get talking on the other side.
On August 12, 2020, government under the previous regime dispersed the 30 million kwacha as Presidential Arts Empowerment Fund through the National Art Council, NSC, to some artists as loans. The initiative aimed at promoting the arts industry using a revolving fund system. Loans to some artists, who in return are expected to pay back based on respective terms and conditions of the contracts. During a press briefing Thursday, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts Minister Elvis Nkandu has noted with concern the low loan recovery rate from some recipients, which he disclosed only stands at 10%.
So the 85 recipients had all the amount dispersed, that is equipment plus the working capital. Of many concern, however, is that the recovery rate for the 37 projects that are due for loan repayment is at mere 10%. Because some people thought, because they sang some songs for the last regime, they thought those were their benefits. And I want to emphasize, this should be of great concern, not only to the ministry, but the entire country.
The ministry has clarified that no recipient of the loan is being victimized, but it is a reminder to those whose loans are due to start paying it immediately.
I wish to direct as follows. Number one, All projects that are due for repayment should commence the repayments with immediate effect. Number 2, those with outstanding issues should engage the ministry through the fund managers to ensure they reconcile their records so that they too can commence repayments.
However, then Empowerment Fund Organizing Committee Chairperson Patrick Samwimbila has cautioned the public not to take the issue out of context by politicizing the matter, adding that all who benefited were given on pure grounds of being artists and Zambian citizens.
Then what differs is the period of repayment, perhaps. It's according to what, others got bigger amounts, others got smaller amounts. But as into the specific terms of contracts, that one I'm not aware because I didn't see the contracts myself. No. There is no politics involved here. And it's only the way probably they are putting it that maybe other artists were given because they were dancing or singing for PF. That is out. Artists were given because they are artists.
Meanwhile, during the same briefing, the ministry disclosed that since the incoming of the UPND administration, the ministry has recovered over 15 million kwacha from the first 50 tanker trucks which were given out under the empowerment program.
In addition, over 15 million kwacha has been recovered from the first 50 fuel tankers. Just alone. Let me take this opportunity to thank Kapesika Energy and Petroleum and Mount Meru Oil Marketing Company for their commitment to managing and remitting the proceeds of the tankers to the ministry. The 50 tankers that were procured were given to Kapesika and Mount Meru. And I want also to emphasize that we are really thankful for their commitment, because what people thought would be something that will go like other empowerment programs, this is something that we are proud of as a ministry, because it has yielded positive results. And the 15 million that we've collected, this is the money that we've collected ever since we came into office. Before we came into office as New Dawn government, there was not even a coin that was collected from these tankers. But ever since we came into office, barely 4 months in office, we've collected more than 15 million kwacha from these 50 tankers.
Going forward, the ministry has echoed its plans to improving the lives of the youth through the various empowerment programs. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, in Lusaka.
Interesting stuff there, just to guide our conversation in the studios. Mr. Machona, now let's talk empowerment issues now. We've had a lot of dynamics in that story regarding empowerment. And the New Dawn administration is equally steering empowerment initiatives. Now, we want to get how important is the aspect of a mindset transformation in youth empowerment?
Well, thank you very much. I think to start with, I would want to categorically say, the approach of the New Dawn as far as empowerment is concerning and the previous administration, there isn't any difference. When you understand the aspect of mindset, you realize to say, before you even start going out across the country, launching out empowerment in different towns or different provinces, you need to understand to say, what is making those that have been empowered before fail to pay back, their dues? So you realize there's more to do with mindset than just empowerment itself. Because when you just get to empower people without understanding whether these people truly understand what an empowerment is all about, you heard from the minister himself. People take empowerment as a benefit for voting for Part A or Part B. So him in his ministry, what has he done to address that? Because what we have seen is, from ever since we came into existence as Subuko NGO, what we have been always championing is a transformation, it's a mindset transformation approach of the entire country. And I'll tell you to actually, when you talk about mindset issue, has got nothing to do with the levels of education, even including the minister himself, including the New Dawn government. Everyone needs mindset change in one or the other. So that you begin addressing issues, that will result or that will come as a result of people not paying back. So you need to understand also, about issues to do with damage control and so on. So before you go out and start empowering people, you need to understand what kind of mindset do these people have. Since independence to where we are today, 57 years or so, Zambia, Zambia has been brought up as, in a generational dependence syndrome, where, politician goes out campaigning for free things, campaigning for free employment, everything literally free. Then once you are into power, you want to change the tune and expect people to respond differently. It doesn't work that way. So the generational dependence has been there from our independence. So when youths or any other grouping, when they are empowered, they don't understand what an empowerment is all about. To them, this is taxpayers' money. This is my benefit for being a Zambian or voting for Part A or Part B.
So, amidst the lack of employment opportunities, what sort of commitment is needed among young people to be self-reliant? Are there other avenues to look out for?
Well, there's more to do with the first investing in mindset transformation of the people, because what you should understand is there's no nation that can develop without championing the right mindset. Otherwise you'll be going out looking for solution outside your own country when you don't invest in transforming the mindset of your people. So at the beginning, doing productivity, there's a lot that Zambia can do. There's a lot that young people can do, apart from just eyeing for white-collar jobs, apart from just waiting for the government to empower them. They can even empower themselves.
Just like we saw the doctors crying on Monday.
That is dependence, because at the end of the day, there are other doctors that do not come in media and just also protest, who are actually running their own pharmacies, who are running their own chemistry, earning a living out of it. They are using the skill they got, they are using the qualification they have to save the community in different ways. And they are being of a service to the community. But when you just have that mindset of wanting someone to do everything for you, these are the results. Because even the government of the day do not prioritize mindset transformation. We are looking forward to a time where there will be a shift in politics, where when people are campaigning or trying to drum up support or maybe winning votes, they will campaign based on reality to say actually what you need is mindset change. Because when you embrace mindset change, even if I become your president today, we'll work together and we change this and that. But you find the message during campaigning is totally about, heaven on earth. So definitely these are the reality where you are seeing. We have been watching on, Camnet TV and a number of other stations where people are trying to say, no, they are being selective. They are empowering that side, but we voted for them. People do not understand. So issues of mindset should be the first priority to any well-meaning, citizen or to any government. So, like what we are seeing with the Minister for Youth and Sports of going around the entire country, launching out empowerment.
The cooperatives as well?
Yeah, all those things. People do not understand what a cooperative is all about. This is one thing that I will tell you for sure about politics or about politicians. They will not tell you the reality of how you can manage yourself. But there will be so much of commentators of form cooperative without even making understand. So that when you fail to form a cooperative, they themselves will form their own cooperatives. And they'll just put certain people as their mirrors, as their faces, but yet behind people own companies are themselves. What are they going to, what are the argument? They'll say, no, we are telling people to form cooperative, but they never formed this. What we want, that's what we want is development. So at the end of the day, you need to conduct, a mindset transformation seminars, make people understand to say, as a new dawn government, our approach of empowering you, to start with, we are empowering you with having the right mindset. So that when you are empowered, you know to say you need to pay back this empowerment. And this is what empowerment means. So that you don't have these issues of people failing to pay back, the new dawn government despising the other administration, because empowerment is the same. When people got the right message, whether it's in the other regime, another party comes into power, it's just flourishing on how they are paying back. But at the end of the day, we are seeing the same approach by the new dawn government of not investing in mindset transformation of their people, but yet dishing out envelopes. We remain to wonder to say, what goes behind the scene? What message are those people giving? Are we not going to see another situation where maybe they are not lectured on how to pay back, on how to try that investment? Because at the end of the day, it's not just about forming a cooperative, it's also about understanding whether this cooperative truly understand each other. Because we have seen in the past that due to lack of mindset, People think the only way we can get money is to form a cooperative. Once they form a cooperative, they start fighting about, I'm the one who started the idea of forming a cooperative. They fight about sharing.
Exactly.
At the end of the day now, that cooperative do not exist because people shared the money and went their ways. So there's more to mindset than just giving out empowerment.
Now, Mr. Machona, you've been working with young people and women in the country and want to understand to what extent does alcohol and substance abuse affect national productivity?
Well, you know to say when you can't mix, work, productivity, and alcohol substance. Of course, there'll be no productivity at all, because you're going to have a drunkard society that they are not doing their work. So of course, it's not just possible, to have with that situations. Like in our situation, what we find is when you've got someone who's drunk, sometimes they oversleep, they forget about that they need to report for work. So as a result, there's no productivity, because at the end of the day, alcohol substance or any other substance such as smoking and so on, they have got certain influence, to your well-being as a human being. So that's why other people say I was acting under the influence of alcohol, because it controls you in a certain way that is not productive. So at the end of the day, we see these things happening because the background is there are no employment there are no employment for young people, there are no empowerment program, there are no a recreation facility where young people can keep themselves busy. So you find as a result, we have found ourselves as an NGO where we are doing the government law of start providing these recreation facilities so that we remove these young people from just being idle in society and just waiting, for whoever that is trying to provide a meal for them.
How are you doing that same thing? How are you implementing that project?
Well, how we are implementing the program is we have continued with the mindset seminars. We are conducting mindset starting from our offices and in different towns, so that we begin changing not just the young people but the community at large, because when we talk about issues of alcohol, it's not just young people that abuse alcohol, even parents, even mature people. So we are changing people's mindset also with the implementation. Once we change their mindset, you find now the next things, they'll be able to get into know how to go about employment, they'll be able to know how to go about businesses, and they become productive. The records are there of how many people are benefiting from this approach of Soboko NGO of changing people's mindset. Last time you covered, there are people that are working there into employment because they have realized actually, how will not take me anywhere? I need to go out there and look for employment. What makes one have that kind of conviction is about having a transformed mindset. Because now you begin comparing yourself with another fellow young people. Persons actually, if they are able to do this, definitely there's something wrong with me. Let me also do my best. So the result, through the mindset program that we are conducting, we have recorded numerous positive results in terms of employment creation, in terms of business opportunities, in terms of many young people even getting into agriculture as a business.
There you have it. We are talking the importance of having the right mindset as the country implements youth empowerment. And in the studio we have Mr. Eugene Machona, who is coming from Sovuko NGO, and we've been discussing this the subject. You too can also add your views in case you want to join us by calling the number that is on your screen, as well as just sending us a text message or via our social platforms such as Facebook. You can be able to add your comment regarding what we need to do in as far as mindset transformation is concerned to ensure that we implement empowerment initiatives effectively, because at the end of the day, the right mindset remains vital towards facilitating development in the country. Alex,
yes, I'm just interested in how it's coming out, and I'm thinking we are said to be a youthful country, really, and having the youth taking up the larger share of our population. So the expectation, really, logically speaking, is we have a backlog of thousands of youth who are not employed. Really, my question would be, what are the best approaches you would recommend, to take in terms of just steer employment and opportunities, considering the thousands of youths that we have out there without anything to do?
Well, thank you very much, Alex. Like what I said earlier, Sovuko has been in existence for more than 9 years. And when you talk about mindset, we understand better the benefit that comes along. Just having, if government takes these directions, because the government, have got all the capacity. As we are doing it at limited capacity, going around the country. But if government sees mindset as the key to success, trust me, you will not even have young people that will be eyeing for employment. They'll be eyeing to become their own employers. And most of those that we have transformed their mindset, they just get into employment to raise a capital and start up their own business, because their understanding is there will be no employment without people investing into business. Because you understand...
You're basically pointing these youths from employment or dependent on formal employment to something that they can do alternatively.
Definitely.
That's the mindset you're talking about.
That's the mindset you're talking about, because you should understand to say the employment sectors in the country cannot absorb every youths that we have. But the business world can absorb everyone. That's why you find other people are working, they are civil servants, they are working in different institutions, but they are running businesses. So business is everything. Business is, it's life. So without people investing into business, there will be no employment. So when the young people, they are given this mindset, actually, yes, in as much others have to work, but most have to create employment. So you are going to have a lot of young people that will begin looking at employment as just a starter for those that might want to go that way. But you have the majority who would want to create employment and come and employ others. Over the program that we run as Sovoko NGO, we have mentored young people that are teachers by professional, who are depending on white-collar job, to begin realizing actually these children that are in the compound, Patrick, whose parent cannot afford to take them to preschool, Alex. If they just bring them, I'm not employed. If I just bring them within 2-3 hours, I'm charging a 1 kwacha. I'll be able to make something at the end of the day for myself, and I'm able to exchange my knowledge to these children. Before you know, these children, when they go back home, they'll begin speaking a different language. Parents will be interested, they'll share to their friends. Before you know, you started maybe under a tree. You are now renting. Before you even build your own school, we have got all these testimony of people that we have lectured in that way, who are thinking only employment can save us. Yeah. But later on, they've gone into their own business.
Yeah, I think what Mr. Machwana is explaining is important. We see also, we have a huge backlog also of unemployed teachers. But there is opportunity of being an SME in the teaching fraternity. Just like you can be an SME in the media fraternity, even in the medical fraternity, like medical doctors. Like we also did a story yesterday on the medical doctors where they were being advised to say, you can form a group, engage as doctors and say, okay, we'll be providing a community awareness activity. You can lobby for fines. Okay, we can undertake such an initiative to ensure that we provide the service. Like you are saying, the teachers, you start a tuition center, okay, you start teaching. At the end of the day, before you realize, you may be owning a very big tuition center. That's what others who have succeeded have done. If you ask me, the exam made easy guys, what they have done with their with entrepreneurship is huge, and you don't need to go far to understand that concept. You just have to follow and learn
and apply
yourself, and then you can do something. At the end of the day, not everyone can be employed. Even in our fraternity, not everyone can be employed. So if you are not employed, what is the alternative? I think that's where we also need to have that conversation regarding our universities, making sure that they focus on that entrepreneurship concept as opposed to Mr. Chishimba just seeking to be employed immediately graduates at UNZA. So we can try to demystify that. Now, Mr. Machwana, I also want to get your perspective rather, as the country journeys towards providing empowerment under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, which is topical. How important is the component of capacity building? Because you can have these resources, but do you have the capacity to spend it wisely and make the necessary profit to pay back?
Well, thank you very much. You know, I like your question, and everything borders back on mindset. Because you see, before it was increased to 25.7 million,
yes,
we must recommend the new donor for that, massive change. It was 1.6, but even when it was 1.6 point something, we could see, failures in, in people being transparent on the management of 1.6. What more with 25.7? So again, there, the local government ministry or the government at large, they haven't invested much because we haven't seen any change, in terms of approach. The composition of who sits and who approves what project in what, at constituency level or at ward level. It's the same procedure that has been applied before. It's the same civil servant that are still sitting. So if you want to see the CDF, the increase that has been put across to address its intended purpose, then you need to start by investing in understanding to say what is the composition of people that we give the authority to approve council projects that need to be done at what particular ward. But at the end of the day, we see a huge celebration as far as corruption is concerning. Because if there was corruption at over 1.6, then now this is a massive celebration that will be there, because they haven't invested in changing the mindset of those people that are given the task, to share this money based on what project must be done in which particular constituencies or which wards. Because you should understand, so when you talk about a constituency development fund, it's break down into wards. So at the end of the day, constituency is made out of wards and their councillors. And so there's a procedure that is involved to which project should be approved. So it's like, again, at constituency level, the same way people go into parliament. At constituency level now, each councillor has to debate why they need development in their particular ward. So again, if you have got a councillor who's not very, convincing enough in their debate, they end up not receiving much of that CDF. It will go to those that possibly they are more talkative or maybe they are more strategic. So at the end of the day, there's more that's supposed to be done. So to us, our recommendation, if that has to work out, first thing, there's supposed to be a mindset approach to start with the technical team, the people that sit. Then let alone now educate also the masses. Do you know that, Patrick, how many years after independence, is it 57?
Yes.
To where we are today. Even the ordinary citizens, the one you call senior citizens, most of them do not even know where their constituency office are found.
Yeah, you are right.
It is true.
I was actually going that. And where does the issue of ownership of those projects come from? If people don't feel part and parcel of those projects, and then they don't feel they contributed well, and they don't feel that they even needed such projects in the first place.
So you see now, this is the point I'm coming to. If a member of parliament, including the Minister of Sports here was talking, if he does not take an opportunity of his position as a member of parliament to educate his people in the constituency, actually, this is where our office is found. And the duties of our constituency office is ABCD. Do you expect people to understand what CDF is all about?
No.
This is money which will go into a constituency, which will only be known to those that are knowledgeable and who are closer to the office. The majority will just be looking, and only when they see maybe they are raising a hospital, there's a construction there, let's go and ask for peace work. The only thing that you'll be seeing ministers and MPs boasting is about, we have created employment. What are people doing? Daka boy. What are people doing? Flying off flags, our ladies on the roads. So at the end of the day, you are not sharing the information that will make your own people be contractor of their own money. Because this is what the president is talking about. He's talking about constituents fund must be managed by the people in the constituents. They don't want to see someone coming from another constituency come and get tenders here.
Just on that, I had the privilege to sit on the WDC of Machinga province, that is Mafinga district, and there are two pertinent issues that came up. One is to do with the capacity of the local, from the respective wards, to actually come up with ideas of projects that they would love to see in their wards. But what was noticed is they're popping these trivial ideas. They can just say, we need just a pump in this, or we need a church. You understand? And coming to review that, and this is the document that is supposed to be submitted to local government, and when it is sealed, you can't come back to say, no, we made a mistake on this, on the number of projects. So we see that there is also lack of knowledge. What is important on the ground? What can you suggest that can improve lives on the ground down there? Secondly, it's the issue, maybe before you just chip in, it's the issue that you've talked about in terms of contractors coming from within. But what has been happening is certain projects that were actually contracted by local people are not well done, and to find the quality of these products. So where do we go next? It's outside the district or it's outside the constituency.
Wow.
So how do you make of that?
Thank you very much, Alex. And you know, Patrick, from the question, from the point that Alex brought,
yes,
you know, you have a child in the house whose responsibility is to teach that child on how to do house chores.
Obviously, the parent.
So now, assume you tell the child to prepare a meal, you know, in front of the guest, and that meal is not well done. Who will be embarrassed?
Parents, the guardians.
So
the guardians.
now, I'm trying to answer your question to say, do not blame Zambian contractors or local contractors for failing to do the duty to the standard. The problem goes to the leaders themselves. They are too selfish. You know, I'll look at example. I'll give you example of China. In China, you are growing up learning, you know, being professional in one or two fields, and they will give you all the support that you need. And once they have given you all the capacity that you need, they are lecturing you in terms of, you know, financial literacy, financial management, and also how to manage project. They even test you with their own project before they even send you in outside the country. So now, when you are a qualified person in whatever you are doing, they'll be now in forefront of actually looking for contract for you in other countries. So the problem we are having here in Zambia, it goes back way to our education syllabus, Patrick. You know, the education syllabus that we are using, Alex, if you don't know, we are still using the colonial syllabus that was left by the colonial masters. We haven't heard any changes that the Minister of Education has made to say now we have done, now we have got our own syllabus. Because if they do, then it would be pointless of a grade 1 child learning 5, 6, 7 subjects. For what? It would be pointless of you learning things that you will never even meet in your personal life. But they will subject you to all those 10 subjects. But yet when you go to college to study teaching, you will not be studying all those 10 subjects. So when you go to this very country, I'm giving example, they only focus on what matters for you in your life. If you want to do business, then they'll teach you business. So that even as you graduate, you are graduating as a qualified business person. Not this combination of subject of certain things that will not even matter in your lifetime. So this is where it goes back. When you invest into a mindset, you realize to say the starting point are the counselors. They are closer to the community. So a counselor now manages a small ward. It's your duty to begin sensitizing your people, educating your people on how to manage project, and even pushing for them to get a project. And when they get, you are there supervising them so that they don't fail. You understand? You supervise them more like the way you supervise a child on how to prepare something. Because these are people that are learning how to stand on their own and manage a project. You can't just come from nowhere to say, okay, you seem to have a very brilliant idea. Here is a project of building 1x3 classroom, without even first you supervising them. Definitely they'll just get the man and go and drink it because their mindset are not transformed. So basically the problem goes back to our leaders. They are too selfish with information. They keep information the same. If just as simple as a councillor's office in a ward, most people do not know. A constituency office do not know. Then you can see the gravity of selfishness amongst the leaders themselves. Because this is a simple task that you need. If you are able to go around when you are campaigning, what's so difficult with you telling your people to say, please, my people, visit our constituency office. The reason why we exist at constituency level is ABCD.
But why do you think these leaders hide their offices, or they are not even usually found at their offices? Why do you think they hide from the people?
I've given the answer. The answer is selfish. You know, when you don't, that's what, when I started, I said mindset change has to start with the leadership themselves. Okay. Starting from the leadership, ministers, MPs, whoever who is in the government, they need first to embrace mindset change themselves. So that when they understand issues of mindset, they will realize to say, the post they have today, they were elected to be there. And they are there to save the Zambian people. But if you look at the kind of leaders we've been having in Zambia since independence, maybe it was a different a bit in terms of the calendar days. They had an open door engagement, you understand? But now we're in a situation where the very MP that you vote for, he cannot even pick up your phone, okay? Patrick, he cannot even pick up your phone with you seeing that MP, unless they are coming, to commission something, or unless they are coming for a by-elections. You are able to shake hands, including the president. But once they win, the way to State House becomes very difficult. You need to, I don't know how many application letters you need to submit just for it to be given a way in. This is the levels of selfishness we keep on talking when people do not embrace mindset change, because you will not understand why you are in that office and whom are you supposed to serve. But when you have embraced mindset as a leader, you'll be in your community. When you're not in parliament, you'll be interacting with your people. You'll be making your people understand, so we have got an office, this is where it is, and this is what you're supposed to be doing. So bring all your issues there. People who have a better understanding of what a constituency office is all about. But the problem is, they are like, certain people that repair things. They will not do a thorough job so that you can go back tomorrow again with the same problem. That's how politicians are. They don't do a permanent job completely, because they always want to leave, the leftover for tomorrow to come and start from. I'll give you a simple example. You know where I live, Manawasa General Hospital is? Now it's a teaching hospital.
Yes. So
here is an ambulance that is, cruising, and all the cars they are giving way because we understand their duties. But yet as they enter General Manawasa there, they slow down. How is the road? Very pathetic. There are potholes. Politicians go there. They declared at some point as a COVID center. They see what is there on the ground. So if the ambulance is coming, cruising from wherever it's coming, then once it enters there, it reduces. What's the point? Because other people die just right in the hospital premises because of the pathetic of the road. And when you look at this road, it's not even a lot of kilometers. It's just a short distance that you can do a thorough job, put a proper tarmac, and it's done. So at the end of the day, this is how politicians are when they don't embrace mindset. They always want to ride on ignorance of other people to their position. So I'll give you an example. This song that we keep on saying, to us we call it a song, Alex. Imite Kulempanga, youths are future leaders. That's an old song, doesn't work. They use that so that they make you comfortable thinking my time is coming. But yet before you realize, you have bypassed your youth age, Alex, and you never became a leader. And yet themselves, they are still ruling you, they are still leaders. So when your youth leadership comes, so at the end of the day, we want to see a situation where if you have a minister, okay, who is mature above the age of youth, let's have a permanent secretary now that they're not deputies. Who is a youth? So because moreover, people that do most of the work are permanent secretaries. So they will make sure that the youths remain at a certain level where you always just sing campaigning song because you are in need of support from them. And that has to come to an end. So this is where the problem is as far as mindset is concerning. It's a very big issue.
As we come to the close of our interview, Mr. Machona, I want to get to your concluding remarks.
Well, thank you very much. We'll continue to appeal to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, and the entire, New Dawn, that actually the solutions to our problems locally as a country lies within your people, lies within the Zambian people themselves. We believe to say there will be no solution that will be sourced without involving the people that created the problem to that solution. So to us, we appreciate all the movement that the President is making and his government, but nothing much will happen, nothing much will yield results if your people are not involved in whatever you're doing. Because now they'll just be waiting and receive to say, okay, he has gone to, this summit is going to bring back, bags of money for us. So that's already a dependency. But you need to get to involve your people, ask them to say, what exactly do you want? Otherwise, we'll be ending up seeing people rejecting certain development because you didn't consult them. You end up taking a hospital when they need a borehole. So it's always important that engage your people, solutions are right within the country, we believe as Suvuko NGO to say we have the capacity as a country even to change this narrative of always borrowing and being always in debt of owing other nations. We can be a country that can also be lending to other nations for once. Only when you realize the importance of you bring your people together. But as long as you want to have all the solutions, then you keep on having people that will fold their hand and wait to see what you're capable of providing. Otherwise, we will not get anywhere.
Interesting. Mr. Eugene Machona, who's the Suvuko NGO Executive Director, has been joining us to discuss the issue of importance of mindset in transformation in youth empowerment. Thank you so much for coming through, and thank you for the information, quite important.
It's a pleasure being here. We look forward for the other time we'll be here again.
Yes, thank you. Before we just jump to another segment, let's just have a short break, and when we get back, we'll get to introduce another topic.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Have an extra car? Then make yourself extra money. We would like to put that car, yes, that car parked there, to good use to make you extra money on the side just through its service while keeping it safe and secure. Call 0765 02 3883 to register your vehicle with us today. Delpo Services. Service beyond satisfaction.
Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
testify. We celebrate for all you've done. Lord, we give you all the praise. Oh, we testify. We celebrate. Oh, for all you've done. Lord, we give you all the praise.
Welcome back. We're still on the breakfast show this morning with policy and governance here with Mr. Soko. Once again, how is it going?
Yeah, so far so good. We had an interesting interview with Mr. Eugene Machona.
I love the emphasis on the need for mindset. I think he has discovered this initiative and it works out for him, which he intends to actually share the knowledge to the people so that you can also tap into the power of mindset.
Yeah, I think when we talk about mindset, I think it is important to understand that whatever you do, if you don't have the right mindset, you cannot achieve anything. So basically for me, even in what we do, if you don't have the right attitude towards it, it's impossible for you to thrive. But you need someone to convince you, to persuade you, to give you the right lenses so that you can be able to understand things beyond. If you are not able to reason beyond certain things, it is difficult for sometimes to understand certain things. It is no wonder empowerment over the years has been perceived as a preserve of political cadres, because they thought to say, I participated in this election in terms of campaigning for this leader. As a foot soldier, I was moving up and down. I think when I'm given this token of empowerment, it is an appreciation for me that for the work done to convince people to vote for this particular candidate.
I worked.
So I worked. I'm entitled to this. There was this kind of entitlement kind of syndrome, which if we are to
you're coming out as if it's past tense. Is it no longer?
Even now, we may see it, as Mr. Machona said. We may see it because some people still think, no, this is my benefit for belonging to the ruling party. But honestly, if we are going to take that route has indicated that it failed. Because we saw the Public Accounts Committee park there at the National Assembly, and parking various issues pertaining to the youth empowerment. We saw the default in terms of the Higher Bus Empowerment Scheme. We also saw people defaulting on the Street Vendors Empowerment Initiative. I was part of that. I witnessed that as a journalist covering the launch of that street vendor project, if you ask me. Then the problem with that project is that we saw that people were just being given money for being street vendors without providing capacity to say, okay, this is how we're going to handle your capital, and this is how you are going to make the profits, and the profits we have to share you and us by you the servicing the loan, so that others can equally benefit. Now, you get this loan and you think you are entitled to it and you don't service it. How does the government then empower the next person? That became a challenge.
Because the funding should be revolving.
Because as we talk, these are the problems we've been facing as a country, and if we don't have the right mindset towards empowerment, it becomes a very tough mountain to climb, because at the end of the day, we'll be doing the same things all over, just changing the lessons now that now we may be having the United Party for National Development, UPND administration. We are the PF administration. We are the MMD administration. But how are these empowerment? In fact, there was a review, but the review were not yet preview to that on the empowerment fund. The program was put on hold so that we can review how it performed thoroughly. Now, because the review was going to help us understand and determine to say, okay, this approach has failed. Now we take this route. So at the end of the day, I agree with Mr. Machona, Alex, if you ask me, that we really need mindset transformation as a country if we are going to talk about any meaningful development there. And talking about that, we also have an issue in the medical fraternity.
Indeed.
And we're just going to play that story so that we get to understand that some of the calls the doctors were making. But really, it's going to be tough for the government to employ everyone.
Yeah.
So, but what are some of the solutions? We should be talking solutions as a country, because what I know is that a problem is not a problem, but a problem is how to solve a problem. But how do we solve the problem? So we listen to that clip, and then we get to
have the context of the story.
Yes.
Even as we come to discuss it.
Unemployed doctors, Monday, 21st February 2022, staged a peaceful protest demanding that President Hakainde Hichilema's administration provides a specific time frame for the recruitment of 11,200 healthcare workers as indicated in the national budget. This was the first demonstration under the United Party for National Development, having done the same under the previous leadership. Despite constraints to manage the debt situation coupled with an International Monetary Fund IMF package, the United Party for National Development has committed to employ healthcare workers, but the doctors feel the package is taking long to arrive.
Doctors are going to get employed. I know that is our concern. Personally, I lost count of the statements. So the same ministry, the permanent secretary, will issue a statement. The following day, the minister will issue a different.
The government has been relentless in responding to their concerns.
And just be truthful. Don't hide. I'm not going to promise you, 800 tomorrow instant. No, in medicine you don't do that. But you'll be recruited. You'll be recruited.
Give us a timeline, Professor.
No. See, look, that's what I'm saying. The secretary to the cabinet will have the last say as to when.
But Medical for Quality Healthcare in Zambia, Director General Queen Swabu, has challenged the doctors to be innovative and find alternative sources of revenue as opposed to just waiting to be employed by the government.
We have got a lot of health workers who are not employed, thousands of health workers who are waiting to be employed. And the best thing that we need to do as a country is, this is the right time we need to encourage our people to venture into entrepreneurship, especially health cadres, to make sure that they venture into something else than waiting for them to be employed. And there's a lot of things that can be done. What is important is they need to come up with an initiative to make sure that they form different groups and they start supplying the medical devices and product to the government. If government sees such kind of initiative, definitely they are going to be supported.
He adds that the healthcare workers must explore avenues such as providing consultancy services in the medical fraternity.
So this is the right time where we need to encourage the health workers to venture into something else than waiting for them to be employed. So it's a right time to make sure that they should not rely on their career, but they need to realize that there's something which they can do than waiting for them to be employed. Not only the entrepreneurship, others they can also venture into the consultancy to make sure that they are doing something and they're also making something that can help them to support themselves. So it's the right time we need to encourage the health workers to venture into something and also do something for themselves.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
There you have it, Mr. Soko, quite an interesting story there. Of the doctors. You know, this story has been developing really from the protest now to issues to do with Dr. Sampa being accused of conniving with some political figures that they are sponsoring his demonstrations and everything. But really, the issue of unemployment is something that they are concerned about, and they want the all 800 to actually be employed. Considering that the UPNG, I don't know when, but they promise somewhere, that's what they cite, to say they were going to employ the health workers. So from that health fraternity, those who are supposed to be employed, they also attach themselves to cater for the 11,000+ health workers, and that has to be with them as well.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting story.
Is that a genuine demand, though, considering the number of doctors?
Yeah, it is an interesting story. The number is huge, and that should also trigger into your mind that it's impossible to employ everyone. It's impossible because look, we are at the moment this country is implementing an IMF bailout package. There are some restrictions, and we are also working on the economy. And if you were to radically employ everyone, you may discover that the wage bill may be broadened to the extent that it beyond the capacity of the government to service. So at the moment, most of the funds that are in the national budget are derived from they go towards the servicing the wage bill and the debt. So now we are still managing the debt situation because we had a debt burden, and we had the backlog of over 5,000, over 6,000 teachers as well, also need to be recruited. In various ministries, various departments, they also need government officials there. At local level, you know, in the medical fraternity alone, you are talking about something to say like a number of positions that need to be filled in terms of nurses, in terms of clinical officers, even a cleaner at a hospital is as important as a doctor. So you have this kind of demand, Mr. Chishimba. So as a nation, it's about time you start discussing how you grow the economy by expanding the opportunities that can absorb these doctors. If we are going to have, for instance, private entities opening up big hospitals, then it helps us to absorb some of this personnel in the medical fraternity, in the teaching fraternity. But as things stand, it's going to be a very tough time. These are tough times.
And then they are accused to be a bit politically inclined in terms of their advances, pushing for this agenda.
But according to Dr. Sampa, that couldn't be correct if you ask me. Even when the PF was in government, the doctors were also accused to say, the PF suggested that the UPND was using the doctors. Now we have the UPND in government. Are they implying that the PF is using the doctors? For me, if, expressing yourself is a fundamental human right. And the right to association and the right to express yourself cannot be taken away. You are the one who's aggrieved. Is it the PF that is not employed, or is it the DP that is not employed to speak for you, Mr. Chimba?
No.
It is you who is feeling the pain. It is you who received probably a promise to say, I'm going to be employed. You don't need a spokesperson. Or you don't need to be enticed. It is you who want a service. And it is different where you're just speaking, where you are on a comfortable position, you're just speaking. Probably others may accuse you of being used. But it is you who is affected.
Indeed, talking of expression, really, one angle of that story is the matter of targeting the president, where everyone was protesting, demonstrating, they're heading all the way to Independence Avenue and wanting to meet the president personally. We've seen this on a number of occasions where police block these demonstrators just to bring them back to their space.
My experience tells me that random demonstrations towards seeking the intervention of the head of state have been unsuccessful. Because, first of all, you are not even aware whether the president is in the office. First of all, again, secondly, you also know that there are a lot of barriers just before you are going to reach the
security. They're protecting the president.
Yes, so you cannot see, it's not just easily accessible. So for me, basically, the success always of those demonstrations is that the message is usually delivered, because the president will be aware to say, oh, there are people outside, doctors are protesting, they seek your audience, they want your intervention, you'll be aware. So that's the success of the demonstration, because you'll be aware that there are these concerns. But the president coming out to address people, Mr. Chishimba, and we have seen this protest of recent, there have been many, and you know, for me that also shows...
Some even in the premises they are waiting for hours just for the president to come out.
Especially retirees.
The retirees. Yeah. So the question would be, do these issues always fall on the president? I mean, don't we have other technocrats who can actually handle some issues?
For me, my opinion would be that probably they do see laxity on the part of ministries, like they do not see any help. Based on the people you've interacted with, Mr. Chishimba, you'd agree with me that most of them, they'll tell you that we don't want the minister. Even the doctors themselves, they were saying that the minister says this, the other thing says the other thing. So at the end of the day, you come to appreciate that this has been a problem for a while, because they feel they cannot trust some institutions. And at the end of the day, it tends to affect them. They would say, okay, if the ministry cannot respond to us, then we are going to go straight to the head of state so that we seek a direct intervention, because, you know, he's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He is the overall supervisor of every ministry. So they think that if it is coming from him, it is authentic, and it will be policy, and it will be implemented instantly. So that's what I've actually observed, and those are things that we need to actually address as a country.
Yeah,
people need to have confidence in these institutions.
Exactly, and we've seen this pressures being exerted on the president from all angles. Really, it's not just in the medical fraternity, Mr. Soko may be aware, but we have had stories popping out, even from the private sector. You know, you have a company. Maybe the workers are protesting, and they say the president should come in. One of the stories we compiled yesterday also has to do with the former UNZA workers who are actually protesting over 100 million kwacha due that they are demanding to be paid before the month of March ends. And the next step they also plan is to seek audience with the president, and they're determined. You can even see the frustration of these senior citizens to say, okay, really, this is something serious.
It's a year of protests.
I should assume so, because we've had the number really since the new Dawn came into office. But even when they were just under 100 days in office, we still had protests from all angles. So,
but it should tell you that at least people are now able to freely exercise their right to air out their grievances.
Indeed, and the police are quite lenient nowadays, because their role is just to protect them and maybe escort them back to wherever they came from. They're not being as forceful as we used to witness in past regimes. So quite a change that is commendable from the security forces. Let's just take a look at this story and also try to see what these people are demanding for.
They claim that the University of Zambia, UNZA, has failed to pay their dues since 2017, when most retired. They are former UNZA workers who have retaliated through a protest at UNZA premises Tuesday, calling out management to give a way forward.
Not being paid our terminal benefits. We are not interested to be on payroll. What we want is to get our dues. We get our money so that we get settled. Not disturbing every time we come here to request for our terminal benefits from the University of Zambia, but UNZA is not ready to get whatever we tell them to do. Instead of paying retirees, they are busy paying graduates for those who are still serving at the University of Zambia.
For ages, our friends have been paid, as we have said, and from 17 downwards now, we have not been paid. Those 17 people are supposed to be paid, but 2017 were left behind.
Mr. Siamba Ngonyambe wonders why management has not prioritized them while giving more attention paying those with unsettled gratuities.
50,000, the 50 million remained is cut to clear some 2018 up to 2020. But our worry, that our challenge is that the UNZA management, instead of clearing we retirees, they are clearing those who are still on work. They are clearing the graduates, the people. But we, the retirees, were the one who fought for that man. Why clearing the graduates?
They claim management owes them dues, which they say
must be cleared before the end of March 2022.
And not to do it because we know you will do it. You will give us money. So, University Management and the Ministry of Education, these people, they should sit together. We want money before month end of March. We are tired. We are supposed to be cleared with our friends because we fought this money together.
Meanwhile, efforts to get UNZA management proved futile. The retirees have since stated that the next step will be at State House to seek audience with the president over the matter. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
A series of protests.
Hot issue. Yeah, very hot issue. If you ask me, I could feel the frustration with these people, and I'm like, why are we having such, number of issues popping up? But anyway, it's not the first time that they're gathering to just demand for these monies. Our hope is they get what they really want. And the next step, as we heard, is the president. I want to see the president so that he can...
Everyone wants to see the president.
Yeah.
I think we need to get things in order because at the end of the day, it's not easy to just push everything towards the president. He is also preoccupied with various issues, and the ministries responsible need to do their job effectively to avoid that. And their concern is that the money was released by the government recently after being pressured by some saving workers. And these people who have been fighting for their terminal benefits for a long time ago, who have been frequenting the institution to just demand for their money, they have not yet been settled. And those, they feel it's not fair, and that the government just needs to do the right thing together with the UNZA management, and they say we should have been paid together with our counterparts as opposed to being sidelined or left behind, as we say. Well, if we are going to achieve sustainable development goals 2030 of not leaving anyone behind, then Mr. Chishimba, we have a lot to do.
Yeah, and we are just remaining with the 8 years to reach that target. Yeah, so they also denied on remaining on payroll because currently they are on payroll system and they're getting their monies through that system. But they just demand the monies to be disbursed at once, not to remain on payroll. And they feel it's unfair to service the ones who are still working and them who are out and they're growing old. Some have died in the process. So those are the issues that we get to hear as the media. Quite unfortunate.
Well, we have come to that time when we have to say our bye-byes, and until next time when we come with another interesting episode of the Camnet breakfast. Tomorrow we'll be also doing the Thursday edition, governance and policy. Then Friday we'll do the business. For breakfast with Prudence Chota and Miriam Kaimba. For me, Patrick Soko and
Alex Shimba.
Stay tuned and keep watching Camnet TV.